If you are into video games and video game news, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz! Yes, this is coming in late, I know. But since the news was kind of lacking yesterday, I thought to delay until Wednesday. However, big news just came down the pipe, so I thought I'd cover it right now. But first, if you are watching this on YouTube, the gameplay you will be seeing is, of course, Cassette Beasts. And I will talk more on that tomorrow's Gaming News Roundup, because today, the gaming crisis is over. And that is that Microsoft has won its case against the FTC in purchasing Activision Blizzard. The judge today denied the appeal for the FTC to have an injunction against the purchase of Activision Blizzard. Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley of the United States District Court of the Northern District of California denied it as of today. Her ruling has concluded that Microsoft's acquisition of Activision has been described as the largest in tech history. It deserved scrutiny. That scrutiny has paid off. Microsoft has committed in writing, in public, and in court to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 10 years on parity with Xbox. It made an agreement with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Switch. And it entered several agreements to, for the first time, bring Activision's content to several gaming cloud services. This court's responsibility in this case is narrow. It is to decide if, notwithstanding these current circumstances, the merger should be halted, perhaps even terminated, pending resolution of the FTC administrative action. For the reasons explained, the court finds the FTC has not shown a likelihood it will prevail on its claim this particular vertical merger in the specific industry may substantially lessen competition. To the contrary, the record evidence points it's more consumer access to Call of Duty and other Activision content. The motion for the preliminary injunction is therefore denied. This is an interesting ruling for several reasons. One, the FTC's argument that Nintendo should not be considered at all in this argument because they are a different console was pretty much thrown out by the judge. She basically said that doesn't matter at this point. Secondly, it looks like Phil Spencer and Microsoft did the correct thing and did, I would say, the smart thing of saying that throughout the entire time, we're keeping it on PlayStation, we're keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation, we want to keep it on there, we're not keeping access out, and the judge is using that reason to let the merger go through. From what I can gather here as well, the other things of, let's say, Microsoft's past when it comes to getting exclusives from Bethesda, things like that, paid no mention in this case at all. It looks like Sony and the FTC really didn't have a strong argument that the judge felt was really a right argument to block the merger. That said, the FTC and the way that they did this was puzzling. First off, I kind of understood in the beginning why they were trying to block it. But then, in several instances in their deposition, they kept saying that how much this would hurt Sony. Almost, and to the point where the judge had to say, we don't care what happens with Sony in this. We're talking about the common public as to this. And it just seemed like the defense that they had was more ideological than logical in this case. So I'm actually kind of stunned because the FTC in their cases usually bring out a lot of different case studies. They have a lot of different evidence and stuff like that, and they're usually on point as to when they do these court filings. And it just seemed like they were unprepared for this, or they didn't have much in the way of evidence at all in this. In this case, I'm actually kind of stunned how much they bungled this. Almost to the point where I'm kind of thinking that if Joe Biden goes back into the presidency in 2024, that the person who is leading the FTC may not be there. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she steps down by the end of the year this year. I'm actually kind of stunned with the defense. And I'm also kind of curious as to why so many people thought that this was a slam dunk for the FTC and Sony, because, and I saw it on Twitter all the time, it's not going to happen. The Microsoft merger is not going to happen. Like, in what evidence did you see that the FTC had something in regards to this? I didn't see a damn thing throughout the entire time. And I tried to be as fair as possible, because honestly, mergers don't help anybody, in my opinion. But I just did not see where the thought process was, where they were saying that, this is not happening, it's over, it's done. Like, no, this was pretty clear cut, it was going to stay. Let's be honest here. When it comes to the gaming industry, the governments have no fucking clue what's going on. How often are they talked about with loot boxes and they look confused as to what exactly this is and what the game is, or even how it fucking operates. So that was my only thing that was keeping me a little hesitant to say I'm 100% think this is going to go through, because it's usually something stupid that they'll come across to. They'll say, "Oh, what about this?" And it's completely irrelevant to what's going on as to why they would block something, like the CMA just did. The purchase will go through in the United States. And speaking of, this is just coming in right now as I'm recording. The CMA has paused its legal proceedings in a bid to reach an agreement with Microsoft over the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The Consumer Appeals Tribunal was going to do a hearing with Microsoft regarding this sale on the 28th of this month. As soon as the FTC's filing got denied by the U.S. courts, it looks like the CMA is pausing all those proceedings to actually come up with a deal that will be suitable for Microsoft and for the Activision Blizzard acquisition. I am not surprised by this, because I thought this would have been a disaster if this did not go through, and then Microsoft just says, okay, then we can't have any Activision Blizzard stuff in the UK. That would have pissed a lot of consumers off at that point. Imagine all the people who've been playing Overwatch or WoW not being able to play their games because Activision Blizzard products are not in the CMA or in the UK anymore because of the CMA. That would have been disastrous. So it looks like all the pressure that Microsoft put on the UK has worked at this point, and their case against the FTC also worked. And it looks like that the merger will probably go through before the 18th of this month. The 18th is when the merger was supposed to go through, or else there would have been a $3 billion fine that they would have to pay to Activision in regards to the merger. So it looks like that's going to go through. So I would expect news by the end of the week that the CMA has come up with a deal with Microsoft to allow the merger to go through. So what does this mean in regards to Activision Blizzard and Microsoft? I think this is big news. You're going to have Activision Blizzard products that's going to be on Game Pass. It's already been said in a story on VGC that Diablo 4 is not part of that right now. I would not be surprised to see games like WoW, Overwatch, StarCraft to be on Game Pass at a certain point. This is a big bolstering for Microsoft on their end when it comes to their products on their side. That said, they still have a huge issue when it comes to developing new games, and I hope that Activision Blizzard doesn't get part of that pipeline. However, I think that Call of Duty needs to take some breaks. So if there was a Call of Duty every 3 years, I think I would be pretty okay with that. So we will see what happens with that. So it looks like the Activision Blizzard acquisition for Microsoft is going through officially. And that is over. Man, I'm going to have to find other things to talk about, I guess. All right, so let's get into the new releases that are happening this week. We have about 4 new releases that are coming up, and let's start with the ports, and that is Mordhau is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One on July 12th. This was popular in the 2019-2020 range. I don't know if it's as popular as it used to be around that point, so I'm kind of curious as to why they're porting it now. It must have taken a lot of development time to do that, and I'm just not sure exactly what the sales are going to be like with this. This is a game a lot like Chivalry, but I think there's differences in the way the game runs. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I don't play these types of games, so I'm not sure. But if you like Chivalry and you like those types of games, you might want to check out Mordhau. It's coming to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PS4, and PS5 on the 12th. And here are the new releases coming out this week, starting with Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals, coming to PS5, PS4, Switch, PC, and a Mac release. Oh, wow. On July 12th. This is a 2D platforming visual novel, I think it was. The first one got really good reviews when it came out in like the mid-2010s, and they've been developing this one for quite a while, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. This is one of the first games from Netflix's studios, I believe. So I think Netflix bought the studio, and they helped develop Oxenfree 2, so we'll see how that turns out. On the 12th, July 13th, Gravity Circuit, PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. This looks like a throwback to the Mega Man X games to a certain extent. It looks neat. I actually am interested in it. Even the graphics look interesting. It looks like it's more of a difficult, fast-paced kind of version of Mega Man X, so that's definitely up my speed. I think it's $20 right now, so I might actually think about picking that up. So that's coming out PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC July 13th. And July 14th, which is the big release that's coming out this week, is Exoprimal, all systems except Switch, July 14th. This is the PvEVP game from Capcom that's about dinosaurs that fall out of portals and attack people in mechs. It looks really weird, and the word around the betas is that it's actually kind of good, but we don't know how good that really is. This will be on Game Pass on Xbox, so I will be checking this out when it releases. I'm just not sure exactly what the sales are going to be like with this. There seems to be people who are interested in it, but the most I hear about Exoprimal is people wish it was a Dino Crisis. That's most that I've been hearing, really, but if it's on Game Pass, I think a lot of people will check it out, and we'll see how that turns out. And that's coming out July 14th. And with that, that's the end of the Gaming News Roundup and the end of this episode of I Am The Wiz. Later today, Zero and I will be reviewing The Hidden Fortress, directed by Akira Kurosawa, and Wednesday, another Gaming News Roundup. And until then, I am The Wiz, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.